Hello folks, this is Quentin ServiceNow. I want to record this video to walk you through a new feature of ServiceNow called reverse tunnel, or think about it as a proxy for our feature zero copy. So the name is still not clear to me, but I'm gonna try to do my best to use the right terminology. So I'm gonna be walking you through the zero copy reverse tunnel and explain what it is and explain what the value and why we created this at ServiceNow. So ServiceNow Zero Copy, which is part of Workflow Data Fabric, helps you connect your ServiceNow instance to a remote data platform such as BigQuery from Google, Databricks, Snowflake, any Postgres database. The challenge that our customers were facing with our zero copy technology is it requires them to allow IP traffic to be able to establish a JDBC connection from the instance to their data platform like Snowflake or Databricks. Some call it IP whitelisting or IP address restriction, and oftentimes our enterprise security team won't even allow a SaaS platform like ServiceNow to go inbound to their private network, which makes a lot of sense. So for our customer to still be able to get value out of our zero copy connector, so they can leverage the data platform from ServiceNow and use those data fabric tables, we created this concept of reverse tunnel. If you are familiar with the mid server capability, it's pretty much the same thing. It just doesn't leverage the mid server at all. It's a bunch of bits, a piece of software you can install on Linux or Windows in a machine or a container inside your VPC on your network in your organization. And that little piece of software is basically acting as a reverse gateway or reverse proxy. So the proxy in your network will reach out outbound to the ServiceNow instance and establish that secured MTLS connection with ServiceNow. So now you don't require ServiceNow to go inbound to your network. It's that component, that little reverse tunnel relay that's gonna do what the name says, like act as a relay or proxy if you wish. So from your network, from the customer environment, this little relay will establish a connection to your ServiceNow instance and establish a secured connection. And we maintain that tunnel, that connection, very much like the mid server does, but it's not using the mid server. So now when you leverage the zero copy features, the traffic will go through that tunnel. And then we are able to reach your data platform or your database that are within your data center using that secure connection, instead of having to allow a bunch of public IP to go inbound into your VPC, which most of us enterprise security team will refuse to do that. So hopefully it's clear. You can always look it up, look at the doc. I'm not gonna do a polished presentation of this feature. I just wanted to do a quick walkthrough. So some of you like that we go straight to the demo and how to configure. So that's exactly what I'm going to be doing. So I'm gonna jump on my instance. So there's two. First of all, if you want to test this on a non-prod instance, but there is that zero copy reverse tunnel plugin. That's the name of the plugin you want. If you can't activate, contact the ServiceNow support. You need to be in Australia patch 3, which just getting released as I'm speaking. I'm not even sure if it's out. I think it is released. So you need your instance in Australia patch 3, otherwise you won't be seeing this. You need to have the Workflow Data Fabric Hub zero copy connector plugins already enabled on this instance. And then to add that tunnel functionality, you find that plugin here. So here I'm logged in as a maintenance mode on my instance. So I can see it here, zero copy reverse tunnel. I can click and install it right away. That's pretty much it. Once you have this, there's a few steps you need to go through. So I'm gonna try to show it to you. I'm gonna go in the sys user table. You need to create a user with the right permission. That user is gonna be a service account user that's gonna be used by that little proxy piece of software on the machine in your environment to establish a connection to to your instance. So I created a user already. So I believe you should be able to create a user, but that's my user I created, tunnel user. You'll see in the configuration of that little relay, this artifact, I'm using that user. So I set a password, and you need that role, tunnel relay user at the bottom of my screen. You need to apply that role to that user. You put a password. It needs to be a machine type of user. I'm not sure if it's gonna work if it's human. And that's it. Now you have the first piece of information required to get this to work. Next thing you need to know is go on that Windows or Linux machine and install the bits for the reverse tunnel to work. So here you search for reverse tunnel relay on the ServiceNow store, and you can download the bits. If you can't download them for some reason, just open a support ticket to a ServiceNow support, and they should be able to help you. This will give you a zip file that you can unzip, and it's going to be containing a folder for Unix or Linux or Windows. And then once you have it, I'll show you on my Windows machine. You unzip wherever you want on your machine. I created that folder structure, and inside the zip file, I have a Windows folder here. In the Windows folder, you have a YAML file. That's the only file you need to worry about. And then we start the service using the start.bat. The YAML file will require three information. There's obviously a lot of parameters, but the main parameters you need are the instance name, the username we just created, the password associated to it, and a name for the relay that's going to show up in the ServiceNow instance. So I just reuse whatever was in the doc, but you may have multiple relay in production, so you can have your own naming convention. So I had to fill up this information. So you'll see in the UI of ServiceNow, once I activate the relay, it's going to show up in the relay table. And then obviously the instance URL, the user, and the password. Don't worry, this password won't work after the demo. I'm going to be changing the password and deactivate the account. The relay user ID that we created, I show you you create a user, you assign the relay role and the password. That's all you need to worry about. The relay ID will be generated automatically once you start the first time that service, so you don't have to touch anything. Obviously, I'm not going to cover all the advanced stuff. It's all new to me, this thing. So, you can always search in the doc or ask support if you have any particular fine-tuning you want to do with the relay. So once you've done this, you just need to start it. And before you start it, there will be a log. That's your main log for checking if everything is working correctly, the wrapper log. So what I do is I just see I stopped it. I had configured this previously, but I'm gonna show you the command I'm using if this works. Just using a PowerShell here to open that log. Like in Linux, you'll do a tile -f, while it's the same in PowerShell. So you can see if the activation is working well. So now I'm opening another terminal as admin. You need admin privilege to run that thing, I believe. And then I'm gonna do a dir. I'm in the artifact folder here, and I can start the service. So it's saying the service already exists, so that's normal. That's just a warning because I already started before, so I didn't want to delete everything, but I want to show you the overall step. So I'm starting the service, and everything should be working fine if you put the right password. You should see some kind of certificate exchange for the MTLS. So you don't have to manually create any certificate and things like that. It's just all done automatically by that little piece of software here. I think the connection is established, as you can see. See data tunnel established, ready to handle streams. So now we have this permanent MTLS connectivity from that machine in my VPC, in my network, to the ServiceNow instance. And that's the tunnel we're going to be using for the zero copy connection to Snowflake, to Databricks now. If I want, I can use that tunnel. So I don't have to open to the public, to the internet, my Snowflake or Databricks if I don't want to. I can use that tunnel to route the traffic through it to make a better and secured connection to my data platform. So this is, I don't think it's, but it's not over, obviously. This is just the first part. I don't think we need to touch that machine now that we have the relay configured. If I go back to my ServiceNow instance, I'm gonna show you where I went. Here I just search for relay, really. And you click on the private relay, you'll see your relay show up with the name you configured in the YAML file. It should be successful and up. And there's just one thing you want to do here. The first thing you want to do is click create gateway. It's all in the doc. I'm just showing the steps so you get an idea of how easy or complicated it is. You can create, click create gateway. It will assign a gateway. So this is all backend ServiceNow things. Think about some kind of endpoint that the relay is going to be using to establish the tunnel and subscribe to this stream and etc. So we've done this. That's perfect. Now what I want to do is add services. So services is where I will be pointing the relay to the actual FQDN of the Databricks or the Snowflake. So I'm going to need, for example, here I'm going to use Databricks. So I'm going to click here, plus. I already configured it, so maybe what I'm going to be doing, so you see the experience, I'm going to click new and I'll put a new name. It doesn't matter. Hopefully it's going to let me, I'm not sure if it's going to let me create a duplicated entry. So I'm going to click here, lock it, and I wanted to see if I could click I. So you can see when you won't have an existing service, you will have to click on the magnifier, click plus, and here I've put the FQDN of my Databricks warehouse, SQL warehouse, right? So it could be your Databricks, your SQL server URL, your MongoDB, it doesn't matter, but that's the FQDN. At the end of the day, that FQDN to contact that IP under that FQDN, we're gonna go through the tunnel. That's how the configuration here of the relay knows that, oh, for that target FQDN, I need to go through the relay. If you don't declare it, by default, zero copy is gonna just try to go via the internet, and it's gonna fail if you don't have the right network connectivity. And obviously the port. So that's my Databricks information here. So now I add it here, and I just do a save. I don't think at this point I see any logs related to my Databricks. Not yet, but once you've done this, you can go into Workflow Data Fabric. So what I'm gonna do here, Workflow Data Fabric. Oh, before I do that, maybe I should copy, yeah, I'll copy I'm gonna go in Workflow Data Fabric, zero copy. And because I know my environment is Databricks, I'm gonna go here in Databricks. And I'm gonna do a bunch of copy paste from my Azure portal and Databricks. I'm using here Databricks from Azure, so give me 1 second. I'm gonna put the name here. I can just say demo tunnel to Databricks. And now I'm opening my my Databricks UI here in my other screen that you won't see. I'm just gonna grab the warehouse information for that particular connection. I have other videos on how to configure zero copies. That's not the point of that video. I just want you to I want to double click into the tunnel, specifically the private relay feature. So I'm just gonna click quickly in my Databricks configuration and populate all those information. So catalog here is gonna be samples. Connection URL is gonna be this JDBC underscore Databricks, and you have example here. Yeah, you have example here on how to do this JDBC Databricks host. If I'm correct, you know, I don't like doing typing. I'm gonna make sure I do this, and I do have the warehouse information here, and I'm gonna need to put the client ID, which I'm gonna get to my service principal and put my service principal for Azure. Give me 1 second. We added some other authentication method, by the way, in that version of ServiceNow Australia patch 3. I'm getting in my service principal and Databricks. You won't see that screen at the moment. And I'm just gonna need to generate new secret key. Yep. So give me 1 second. Generate for 720 days. Okay, so I do have a secret here and a client ID here. That's all I need. Here you see, don't even have to specify to use a tunnel or not, because this is declared as a service in the configuration we've done earlier. It's declared here. It has the FQDN, so it's gonna figure out that it needs to go via the tunnel. Need to go back to my page here. I'm gonna click connect. As I'm doing this, if I go here in the log, I should be seeing information. I should be seeing that we're going through the gateway if I type the right information here. So here, yeah, you can see it's moving, it's doing things. At some point, we should see something related to Databricks here. Yeah. So you can see that the relay is connecting. The relay itself is connected to the Databricks in the backend. So it's not ServiceNow going directly to Databricks, it's going through the relay. You can prove it yourself by testing it. Obviously, here my Databricks is quite open. It's a demo environment, but I could filter. So in Databricks configuration, in the resource group and the network access list, just authorize that relay and the IP address of that machine to connect to Databricks, for example. So you can really secure the way you want access. And before we had this feature, you would have to kind of make sure the ServiceNow zero copy Trino public IP address had network connectivity access to the data platform via the internet. It was not great. So now it's we support this type of architecture, so we can provide more security. So I'm going back to the screen, and here you can see its connection was established. And I can get access to, I can create data fabric table. So now all the traffic is going through that tunnel, just leveraging the small configuration we made here, right? So just a quick preview, but that's basically it. If you're testing it, I don't think I missed any configuration, and it's part of the documentation in our doc page for Australia patch 3.